Hashem's Vasai Tivtach Lufia Gitzel Sacha. We're now in the 24th Perek of Shmuel Aleph. And in this Perek, David is able to flee. Remember, he was so close to being caught by Shaul, and Baruch Hashem, Shaul got a message from a malach that the Plishtim are wreaking havoc against the Jews, and so he goes and he leaves. And now David goes up, right, and he's going to settle in En-Gedi. Now, the area of En-Gedi has a lot of high points and low points, and it is a very vast area. Vaya'al David Misham, David goes up from here, highlighting that he is doing in a Kaddish way. But what happens? Now, Shaul, on the other hand, he finishes up from against the Plishtim, and is told to him that David is in the Midbar En-Gedi. He's in En-Gedi, so now his location has been exposed. So what does Shaul do? So Shaul, in the fashion that we've already come to expect from Shaul, he takes 3,000 of the best troops, Ish Bachor Mikol Yisrael, which is reminiscent of who he is, right? Because he was one of the top Bachars, Mikol Yisrael, and we know that he's somewhat of a, he has very high standards. He has standards for himself. He has standards for the people around him. So he only takes the best people. Now he is taking, just to put in conceptual terms, he's taking the best people in order to get David, not in order to fight against the Jewish enemy, but rather someone who, by all stretches of the imagination, he had to trick people in order to get them to help him the first time around. So he's taking 3,000 of the best of the best, and he goes in order to find David. And he goes al pnei surei haya'alim. He goes in the area that only the ya'al, a certain type of animal can go that high up. Everyone else can't. So again, he takes the best people. He goes to the highest mountain. He is exactly in doing what we know to be the experience of someone like Shaul. He is Shechmo v'mala gavoa mikol ha'am. He's always going to the highest point, which in good terms is amazing, but it never allowed him to connect, and it doesn't seem to put him in good stead, because in fact, where is David? David is not doing that. David thought that he understood where Shaul would look. Strategically, he kept himself in a low down ma'ara, in a cave, on the lower cave. And so he's hiding in a place in the obvious. He's hiding in a place that the Midrash talks about, that there was a spider. The spider was able to make a beautiful, intricate spider web. And so when Shaul HaMelech sees the spider web, he assumes there's no way that anything would be behind it, because it would have been broken. There's no way that it could have taken so short. But we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a purpose for all creations, and this is Hashgacha Pratis. And so if you questioned, or if David had questioned, what is the purpose of a spider? Well, you know what the purpose of a spider is? In order to save David HaMelech. We also know that this story is exactly the story that we, when we speak the beautiful words of Tehillim, of Perek, Kuth Mem Bees, Maskil David Payoso Bamarat Tefillah. When times are really tough, and we have been saying it ongoing, especially October 7th, Koli el Hashem etzak, I will cry out to Hashem. Koli el Hashem etchanan, I will daven to Hashem. Eshboch lefanav sichi terasi lefanav hakid. I'm going to tell my Tati and Shamayim everything that's going on. Right? Habet yamin re'eh ve'ein li makir. I look around and there's no one that I can recognize, no one that I can hold on to. In Derish Lanafshi, who's not out to get me. Za'akti Alecha Hashem, I cry out to you, Hashem. Amarti atam machzicha ki be'artachayim. And you're the only one that's going to, that could possibly be helpful to me. We say that for generations. Jews have said these kapitulach of Tehillim, this kapitel highlights that David HaMelech, in his mastery, was able to create Tehillim in a way that allowed for the emotions of ourselves to be seen through and to be felt through a kapitel that is talking about him on the run when he's hiding in a cave and feeling like there is what a low point in his life, that he is unable to leave the cave because of the dangers that lurk ahead of him. And so so he's there, and so Shaul comes, and before he goes up to go to the top, or while he's sending people in to see what happened at the top, Vayavo Shaul lahasech es raglav. He goes to the bathroom. Now it's euphemistic the way that it's written to highlight that Shaul was the premier gentleman, that he had good manners, and even the way that he went to the bathroom to relieve himself was one of higher standards. Now David is there. What ironic hashkacha! It's amazing. And so the vulnerable is actually a lot less vulnerable. And isn't that what we know to be true in our emunah? That it might seem that we're a vulnerable nation, and constantly in threat, but in actuality, we're not the ones that are so vulnerable. And the people of David say to him, this is the day. This is the day that Hashem has delivered this to you, and you're allowed to do exactly as you please. This must be it. And so what does David do? Vayakam David, he gets up. Vayichros as knaf hami'il asher l'Shaul balat. And he goes and very, very, very secretly cuts off a small piece of Shaul's coat. Now, after he does that, Vayach leave David, also his heart started to really get upset with himself. Al asher karas es knaf asher l'Shaul, because of what he had cut off. Why was he so upset? Well, there are a few different ways to interpret this. The first is that he understood that any mitzvah that you take away from something, you don't give the fullest, highest regard for it, that mitzvah can no longer help you and no longer save you. And so now he knows that clothing is no longer, is precluded from being something that could be helpful to him. And how do we know this is true? Well, later on in Yirtzeh Hashem, when we discuss when David gets older, and Abishag Hashunamit has to keep him warm because he is not in a position where he can be kept warm. He can never get warm. And the clothing no longer can help him. Another way to interpret it is that even though, because of the halacha of rodif, the halachos that if someone is chasing after you, you can defend yourself and you are allowed to fight back. Here, he is. It still hurts him that he's in the position that he, that he would ever try to damage or to hurt Shaul, but also just to be understood. And this is a psychological principle. He's become desensitized, even though he stopped himself and he would not kill in any way, shape, or form. The fact that he was able to put himself into the position where he took that first step, where he reached for it, even though he stopped himself, that by itself has opened up a Pandora's box, a rabbit hole that it hurts him that he has gone into. Because once it happened once, even though it is something that he never actually, he withstood and he didn't do in its entirety, but there's a piece of him that has been changed forever. And that's something, a life lesson. We really do have to protect our children and protect ourselves from, experiencing things that we can never undo and go back from. So, in any event, what does he say? He says to his men, "Chalila li Hashem, I will for sure not. I am not going to do this to who? La Adoni, my master, La Mashiach Hashem, my master, meaning he is still the king, and he is also the anointed one from Hashem. I would never put my hands on Mashiach Hashem." Now, what happens? The people of David and his merry men, they are really upset. They don't understand. Why couldn't you attack Shaul? You have the laws of Rodef on your side. You really should. Now Shaul kam in Ma'ara vayilach baderech, and Shaul goes to start. He starts on his way. He's going to try to catch David. And what does David do? He leaves the Ma'ara vayikra acharei Shaul lemor, Adoni Hamelech, Your Majesty. Vayabet Shaul acharav, and Shaul turns behind. Maybe what he's also doing is he's going backwards in time. He's rewinding in his mind, the mind that is filled with a ruach ra'ah, the mind that perhaps just doesn't think anymore. But he's rewinding. Vayikod David apayim artzav yishachlo, and David bows down as low as he can, and to face the ground, to give as much respect as possible in his body. And David says to Shaul, Lama tishmas divrei adam lemor. He says, why? Why do you listen to the people who say, Hinei David mevakesh rasecha, that David is out to get you? Is he really? You can see for yourself. Now, who is he returning about? Who is this divrei adam? Well, we know that's doeg ha'adomi. That is the adam. That is the Adomi, that is the one who has been wreaking havoc by feeding and fueling all of the insecurities and decisions of Shaul HaMelech. Shaul, who is such a gadol b'Torah, he listened to Doeg and was influenced by him, in addition to the Ruach Ra'ah. Or maybe in contradistinction to the Ruach Ra'ah, to Doeg's words, because ultimately it's all part of Hashem's ultimate plan. And so you could see for yourself, I didn't do anything. I had the opportunity to hurt you, but I never did. Lo eshlach yadi ba'adoni. I would never, ki Mashiach Hashemhu, because you are the Mashiach of Hashem. I give you respect as a king. I give you full respect. And now in Pasuk 12, va'avi re'eh, my father, please see. From here, the Shulchan Aruch learns that a father-in-law is considered like your father with the ultimate respect. And Rabbi Rosner mentions that it's the Taz who mentions and adds to that part to say that it's not just your father-in-law, but it's also your mother-in-law. But look at your coat. I didn't do anything. I ripped a little piece of it as opposed to killing you. Ki ein biati ra'a upesha v'lo chatati lach. I have nothing. I am not harboring any resentment or anger or upset or having done anything wrong to you. Patat sodeis nafshi lakachta, and you have been trying so hard to try to kill me. Yishbot Hashem b'ni v'necha. Hashem is going to judge us. V'nikamti Hashem imeka, and it is Hashem. He is kel kana v'nokeim. He's the one who's ultimately going to take revenge on my sake. V'yadi lo tiebach. My hand is not going to touch you. It is Hashem who's going to hurt you. It is Hashem. And we know that the mashal hakod, we have this mashal, mirusha im yitzay resha, from bad people, bad things happen. V'yadi lo tiebach. My hand is not going to touch you. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I am not going to be a bad person. I am not going to. And so that's it. It reminds me of that famous line in The Princess Bride where the man says, I pardon you. I pardon you. I pardon you. He's acting like a king and he's pardoning. But it really is holding true here, which is David HaMelech is saying, I didn't do anything to you. I didn't do anything to you, and I could have, and I should have, and I didn't. So, in any event, what happens is he continues and he says, who are you? And then he lowers himself. Who are you trying to capture? I'm nobody. I'm nothing. Why are you wasting your time with me? So not only is it not okay, not only did he not do anything, but I'm nothing. I'm a nobody. Why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your 3,000 best top men to try to find me and the rest of the life that you have? Not a good idea. And Hashem is ultimately going to be the Dayan B'Shafat B'nei B'necha. Hashem is going to be able to be the judge between us. And Hashem will take note, and Hashem will vindicate me against you. And he's able to really express himself. And after he finishes that, Shaul says, Hakol Chaza B'nei David. Here we finally have Shaul calling David by his name. And it's as though he shifted set. He's totally in a different mind frame. And what does he do? It's so poignant. Vayisa Shaul kolo vayif. And Shaul, he just cries. That visceral cry, that emotional reaction, that feeling where he's finally, he sees things the way they really are. He's come into a reality, and when he sees his reality, when he looks to see how far he's come and where he's gone, he just cries. Perhaps he's crying also because it's Hashem who always listens to the cries, and that the sha'ar of Dimaos, the tears, the gates of tears are never closed. And Shaul knows that in all other capacities, the way that he's reacting, the way that he's been acting, the way that he is, what he had done as a choteh, he's just, he knows that he's not going to be put in a different position. But the crying allows him to get through and to break through those gates and go directly to Hashem. And what does David say? And what does he say? Tzaddik ata mimeni. You are more righteous than I am. Right? I pardon you. Ki ata gamaltani hatova. You only did good for me. Va'ani, but me, gamalticha hara'a. I treated you so badly. In life, there are going to be plenty of people who don't treat us the way that we feel that we really warrant to be treated. Be it that we're kind to them, be it that we're just not nice to them, be it that we've done something for them. And it is okay just to hold on to the idea, tzaddik ata mimeni, right? Just to be better than the other person, to be more righteous, to do what is okay and just in the eyes of Hashem. And now, yes, you have just told me how much you did good, and that Hashem could have killed me, but he didn't. So, and if a man meets his enemy, and right, ki yimtzeh ish es oivo b'shalcho b'derech tova, this is I pardon you again. If a man meets his enemy and he does not harm him, then what happens? V'Hashem yishalcha tova. This is where, if you're embarrassed in public, or if people shame or hurt or humiliate you, and you don't do anything, Hashem yishal lemcha tova. Hashem pays it back with kindness. Tachas hayom hazeh asher asita li, for what you have done. And so Shaul is recognizing Hashem is going to repay you generously. He's going to reward you for all of how you haven't fought back. Ba'ata now. Hinei yadati ki maloch timloch. I now know you're going to be the king. The kama biyadecha memlachas Yisrael. It's all going to go to you. I figured it out. I got it. You are an amazing guy. You are what everyone's been alluding to, that someone, even greater than me is going to take over. And that's okay. But so what does he do? He says, please, just swear to me. Hashivia li b'Hashem. Im tachris eseri acharai v'im tashmid et shmi b'beisavi. Please, that you're not going to destroy my descendants or wipe my name out from my father's house. And he's saying he wants to have a bris. He wants to have a covenant made with David. But Tichros, right? He's making this bris, and that I can survive. My descendants can survive. Now, what's interesting is, because in the olden days, that's actually what happened. When a new king came along, he killed out all the people from the old kingdom. So that hopefully, is not in the cards. Vayishva David l'Shaul, and David swears to Shaul. Vayilach Shaul el Biso, and Shaul goes home to his house. The David ba'anshav alu al hametzuda. Shaul goes horizontal. David goes vertical. He has way higher places to go and so much more to achieve. And Shaul, our Talmud Chacham, our Gadol Hador, our wonderful, wonderful king, has tried to stay coherent, to stay without the Ruach Ra'ah. For a moment there, we think like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Has he turned the corner? But we have more prakim to come where the story has yet to come to fruition.